There's a version of you, or maybe someone you know well, who hears good news and instantly starts hunting for the catch. Someone offers help, and the first thing that fires isn't thank you. It's why. And that reflex didn't come out of nowhere. Think back to the last time someone was kind to you when you weren't expecting it. A stranger, a coworker, someone with no real reason to bother. There's a good chance your first move wasn't to just take it. Something in you went looking for the angle. And if you're honest, that search kicked in fast, faster than the gratitude did. When researchers talk about skepticism as a trait, something baked into who you are rather than a one-time reaction, they're pointing at something more precise than just being a pessimist. It's a cognitive style, a way your brain got tuned over time to read other people's motives. And that tuning happened for a reason. Here's the strange part. Your brain doesn't really tell the difference between a threat that happened once and a threat that might come back. That's not a glitch. That's the design working exactly as intended. If you touched a hot stove as a kid, your brain didn't wait around for a second burn before it started treating stoves differently. Betrayal from people works the same way. If you grew up somewhere the adults around you were unpredictable, emotionally, logistically, however it showed up, your brain adapted. It started scanning. It started building pattern recognition around how people behave, so the next bad thing wouldn't land as a total ambush. And people really underestimate how sophisticated that is. A kid who can tell by the way a door closes whether tonight is going to be okay, that's not paranoia. That's finely tuned threat detection. The problem is, the system doesn't come with an off switch. It doesn't quietly recalibrate when your life changes. So the grown version of that kid sits across from someone on a first date, and underneath the conversation, underneath the eye contact and the small talk, the scanner is still running. The same one from when you were 9. It doesn't show up as old survival code. It shows up as intuition, as realism, as being sharp enough to see what everyone else is too naive to catch. And from the outside, it can look like arrogance, like someone who just won't let people in. But spend real time with someone like this, and what you find under the guardedness is usually something a lot quieter than arrogance. It's someone who got surprised before. Not once, enough times that surprise itself started to feel like a warning. Like warmth and openness were just the setup for something they didn't see coming yet. And here's where it gets strange. There's an idea in psychology called behavioral confirmation. The short version. What you expect from people shapes how you act toward them, and that behavior tends to pull out the exact response you were bracing for. When you're expecting distance from someone, you give a little less warmth first. You reread a text 3 times before answering, trying to decode what they really meant. You hold back from fully investing, because committing to something that's probably going to fall apart feels like a bad bet. And the other person picks up on that coolness, whether they know it or not, and matches it. Now the relationship has the exact temperature you predicted, and you point at that outcome as proof. See? I knew it. You're not wrong that it happened. You just can't see the part you played in making it happen. 2 researchers, Snyder and Swann, documented this back in 1978. The finding, basically, is that social reality is partly built by the people watching it, which is a deeply uncomfortable thought if you sit with it long enough. Because I want to talk about what this feels like from the inside for a second. It doesn't feel like fear. It feels like clarity, like being one of the few people who hasn't been lulled into some comfortable, convenient version of reality. But there's a specific kind of loneliness that rides along with it, one that almost never gets named. Because when you're always waiting for the turn, you're never fully there when things are actually good. The good moments get lived at a slight distance. Someone tells you they love you, and somewhere in the back of your head you're already logging it as data, filing it away, half wondering how that sentence is going to sound the day it gets used against you. You don't want to think like that. It just runs. But here's the other side. Skepticism, real, calibrated skepticism, is a kind of intelligence. People wired this way are usually harder to manipulate. They catch the inconsistencies that slide past everyone else. They ask the questions that need asking. They don't hand out trust on reflex, which means when they do give it, it actually means something. That's worth saying plainly, because most content about this treats it like pure dysfunction. The problem was never the trait. The problem is the sensitivity. A smoke detector is incredibly useful, but if it screams every time you make toast, you don't tear it off the ceiling. You recalibrate it for the room you're actually in, not the one it was first installed for. This is the part where I'm supposed to hand you something clean and resolved. I'm not going to, because it wouldn't be true. What the research and the clinical work both point to is something called repeated disconfirmation. The slow, stacked experience of extending trust in a small, bounded way, having it honored, and then doing it again. Not a breakthrough. Actual lived experience, quietly building a different story than the one your brain has been running for years. The brain learns through experience, and it unlearns through experience too. There's no version of this that skips the actual living of it. A therapist once put it in a way I haven't been able to shake. The goal isn't to become a trusting person. It's to become someone who can afford to be wrong about a person every now and then, without that meaning your whole judgment is broken. Because for someone carrying this, being wrong about a person doesn't feel like a small miscalculation. It feels like evidence. Evidence that you're unsafe, at some deep level, to even trust yourself. That's the weight underneath it. That's what the scanner is really protecting. If you recognize something in this, in the loop, in the distance, in the way good things get held at arm's length, I just ask you to sit with one thing. The pattern made sense once, probably completely. The only question is whether it's still working for you, or whether at this point, it's mostly working on you. That's not a rhetorical question. It's worth actually answering. A lot of people who feel something in this are carrying something harder to name than just stress. It's more like a constant low-level vigilance that never fully powers down. And that state, over time, absolutely wrecks your sleep, scatters your focus, and keeps your nervous system stuck in a gear it was never meant to idle in. There's a link in the description and the pinned comment to a bundle I genuinely think is worth your time. It's a set of 7-day guides built around the exact things that tend to pile up for people watching this. Actually resetting your sleep instead of just thinking about resetting it. Rebuilding your focus. Rebalancing your dopamine so your brain stops reaching for noise the second things go quiet. Each guide hands you one concrete daily action, not just more information to absorb and do nothing with. That part matters. It's in the pinned comment too. And if you want more on the psychology of how we deal with each other, why we pull away, why we test people, why closeness can feel like a risk, subscribe and hit the notification bell. That's exactly the kind of thing I love.